Welcome, everybody. I want to welcome our guest speakers, Nate Wood, Sayde Heminger, and Shauna Hansen, who will be talking about their personal mobile toilet kit for encampment sites as phase 2 of their Purple Bag program. So welcome.
Thank you. So we were here a couple of years ago at MuniCon actually talking some trash about our Purple Bag program. And now we're back today to have more potty talk about our mobile toilet kit extension of the program. And I know, bad jokes, but like we work for the waste management utility, so we got to get our jokes in when we can. But anyway, so my name is Shauna Hansen. I'm the Stormwater Management Program Coordinator for the City of Tacoma. And I'm here with Nate Wood, who's the Project Manager for the Mobile Toilet Kit Program, and Sayde Heminger, who's our Environmental Services Department Homeless Outreach Liaison Senior Specialist, and also helped to co-manage the program. And we're going to be sharing a little bit about our journey in the development of the Mobile Toilet Kit Program in Tacoma. And so I'll start by talking a little bit about the background, context, and the links into our stormwater management program. And then Sayde is going to talk a little bit more about the Purple Bag program, kind of a background on the Purple Bag program and the updates on that program, and then how it was extended into include mobile toilet kits. And then Nate is also going to talk a little bit more about the details of the mobile toilet kit pilot logistics and the data collection that we've done. And then Sayde's going to wrap up with the overall outcomes of the toilet kit pilot and then our next steps for implementation. And spoiler, one thing that we're very excited about is that just last week we got approval to expand and upgrade the program. So going on beyond a pilot stage into ongoing implementation. So we're very excited and we expect more mobile toilet kits in the future. So starting out, I suppose that most of you are coming from communities where people, a significant number of people in your communities are living with homelessness. And that's the case definitely in Tacoma. In fact, addressing homelessness is one, as shown on this 2024 community survey, is the top issue identified by community members in Tacoma right now. It's also a very high priority of the Tacoma City Council. And so with this program, we're addressing a big community need here. And just to give you a sense of the numbers, so our last point in time count this January, we had 2,661 individuals counted living outside or on the streets. And as you know, those point in time counts are underestimates. They're not getting everybody during those counts. And so we know we have more. We literally have thousands of people in Tacoma living outside where they have a need of waste disposal services. And also, here's a map of hotspots that's generated by our community complaint, community complaint hotline. And so it's the 311 number. And these are hotspots for when they've been reporting people living in encampments or living outside or dumping issues, waste issues. And as you can see, they correspond very nicely to our priority watersheds for water quality improvements that we've identified in the city of Tacoma. And so from my perspective as a stormwater management program coordinator, this program is also meeting a lot of our high priority focus areas in the city. And this is also just a little bit of touching on how this mobile toilet kit program also connects with our stormwater management program elements. So it actually connects in a lot of different ways. So definitely for public participation, you know, we have that requirement to do public participation to get community engagement from overburdened community members to help both with implementation and development of our stormwater management program elements. And so because this is a user survey, we're part of the way that we developed this program was to consult with actual people living outside and using these kits. And so it hits the mark there. Also, it could be designed as a behavior change program under the requirements of the permit if you wanted to. This is definitely, I would say, a behavior change tool that we had developed with input and feedback from the community of users that you could use to address these homeless encampment pollution issues in your watersheds. Also, when we're, and this is something that Sayde and the other homeless outreach team people do, they work with especially Sayde though, they work with, for the illicit discharge detection and elimination element of this program, when they find encampments that are issues near receiving waters, or there has been dumping in storm drains, for example, as a result of encampments. And Sayde coordinates with our operation and maintenance crews to come out, and when it's been directly into the storm drain, they'll actually go out and back out the storm drain system. But also we have a contractor on board that does clean up the encampment sites. And so we're eliminating that illicit discharge that way. And then also it's just a general good source control strategy for addressing stormwater impacts on lands owned and operated by the city. Because again, we find that in encampments, and you can kind of see that in the map a little bit, but the encampments tend to cluster around receiving water bodies and some of our most sensitive receiving water bodies, like the Theophos waterway. So this is definitely a good source control strategy to address that as well. And this is my last slide before I turn it over to Sayde. I just did want to mention this equity analysis process. Our department, Environmental Services Department, developed this process, 6-step process a few years ago. And this is something that we can use to evaluate all of our existing programs and projects, or in this case, we use it to develop a new program. But we create a team basically of stakeholders within our department, and we actually included people from the health department on our team in this case. And then we walk through the steps to analyze, identify, pull the data, identify desired results, engage stakeholders, and then develop an implementation plan for the program to make sure that we're designing it in a way that is serving, in the most equitable way possible. And I just wanted to highlight, as far as the first step of this process was to identify desired results. And so as a team, we established this kind of basically a statement of the desired results, that we want unhoused community members to use personal toilet kit supplies and purple bag pickup service as a preferred way to handle personal waste at their campsite, with a focus on supporting individual health, clean neighborhoods, and a thriving Puget Sound.
Shauna. I'm just going to go over a quick background on how the Purple Bag project got started. Started in 2020 when, as we all know, COVID began, and the city was following the CDC guidelines that said that no encampment should be moved. They didn't want people moving around and potentially spreading COVID. So we had in Tacoma encampments everywhere, without any really infrastructure on waste pickup other than our contractor going around and just picking up around people. And we also had a lot of issues in our open spaces. We manage 500 acres of open space in the city. And since we couldn't move encampments, like our crews couldn't come in and do the restoration work that they needed to do because there was just garbage everywhere. So we developed the Purple Bag program to empower people living in encampments as they're staying put in one location to clean up after themselves, and then build a program where we worked with our contractor to go to all of the sites on a regular schedule so they know that their waste was going to be picked up regularly. Also, we sometimes have issues with people in encampments thinking that we threw away their belongings, so this empowered them to only put garbage and things they wanted thrown away in the Purple Bag, and it's easily distinguishable. And personal belongings, we also have like black contractor bags for them to put personal belongings in. So to implement our Purple Bag program, we prepped our 311 center. So we let them know the program was beginning. And then on the Purple Bags themselves, it says, if you see this bag, you can call 311 and report it so that our contractor can go and get it picked up efficiently. We partnered with Neighborhood and Community Services. We kind of had to get their buy-in because they manage all the homeless programming in our city, and to partner with us. And we have another outreach team called the Homeless Engagement Alternatives Liaison Team. So we had to educate them about the program so that they could hand out bags at the encampment sites, as well as myself. We designed the bags. They're very thick and it's helpful because they don't break easily and we can fit a lot of stuff in there. So we made sure that the durability and the quality was there. We worked with emergency management on, we had, hand sanitizer and masks and things. So we worked with them to get that stuff out at the campsites as well. And then we had our cleanup contractor. We educated them about what the purple bags were. We stocked them up with them. When they went to pick up bags and people wanted more, we made sure that they had those just so they could be out in the community. So updates now, we distribute about 10,000 bags annually. The cost is around $7,000. I think the community is pretty familiar with the purple bags now. They see them around everywhere. And the people are reporting and calling in a 311 to have them picked up when they see them. So the mobile toilet kit, we wanted to build on, like, we have a pretty good system on getting rid of, garbage and debris, but how are we managing human waste at campsites? People in encampments they usually have buckets or, seeing people just dump their buckets in the storm drain. There's no way for them really to get rid of the waste once it's in the bucket. Other than just dumping it on the ground, really. So we wanted to build this toilet kit project off of the already implemented purple bag project. It also, we really wanted to bring in a human dignity element here. People don't, they don't have any access to public restrooms. I think Nate will get into that. So it's also building off like an empowerment element that you have a safe place to use a restroom wherever you are. It was inspired by a man in Seattle. NPR did a little segment on him. I forget his name. I think it's in here. Do you remember? Mark Lloyd, there it is. Yeah, he was just a community member and he would go out and he saw a need. He would bring toilet kit supplies to folks. Like the quote says, people have to squat in the bushes or go wherever. I think I saw a turn a doorway out here as I was walking to this building, So he saw a need and he just, of his own accord, went out and built these kits and handed it out to people in encampments. Here's some of the kit elements that we include. It's kind of handy because most of them fit inside the bucket. So we have a 5-gallon bucket. In the initial pilot, we got these cool collapsible buckets because we were trying to emphasize mobility, but people didn't really like that. They didn't really improve, taking the bucket with them if they moved. So we went with the standard 5-gallon bucket with a toilet seat lid. Not shown in the picture, the purple bag would line the bucket. There's hand sanitizer, antibacterial wipes, some toilet paper, kitty litter to use and sprinkle in between usage, for privacy tent, and zip ties to kind of tie off the bag when you're done and you want to put it out for pickup. I think I got that all. Yeah. I'm going to hand it to Nate real quick. He's going to talk about pilot locations.
Yeah, it's working. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Sadie. Thank you all for being here. We're going to kind of get into the meat of the program. We have these pilot locations that we started with. All of these locations were within Sadie's designated area since we hadn't really been able to work with NCS yet to expand the program. So we only had a small area that we were looking at between July and September 2024 with only 10 kits that really was like a user kit test or user test for the kits to make sure if we needed to change the kits around, what would work better for them, what they actually need. So this is the pre-pilot responses that we got when we started talking to the participants. We asked them how often they're able to access a public restroom within a week. And as you can see, most of them, they're never able to. A few of them might get in once or twice, a week or so, but think about how many times you use the bathroom. It's probably more than just once a week. So the idea is that we give them access to these restrooms, give them access to something that they can use. And there was one participant that was able to access bathroom more regularly, but that was a very specific, special circumstance. So for most of it, for most of them, it's pretty rare occurrence to be able to have access to a public restroom. So from the first pilot study, we had 10 kits altogether, and throughout 8 weeks, we were able to collect 50 bags of waste. The average recommended pickup time by the participants was about 3 times a week. It seems like they fill up their bags in a couple days and would like those to be picked up instead of just sitting there on the side of the road. They also requested more frequent restocks, but from the initial 10 kits, only 2 of the kits were still in use by the end of the pilot, and this is kind of an issue that Sayde touched on, that they aren't really taking it in between encampment sites. If there's an encampment sweep or something like that, most times the kit is getting pulled on and thrown away as well. So the idea is we're trying to get this to be more mobile for everyone. So one of the kits we lost was due to the individual getting housing, which we consider as a big win for us. That's kind of like the end goal. Maybe not of this program, but of other programs ultimately, yeah. We had one kit that was lost due to an individual moving into a temporary shelter, and then one kit was never used or was hardly used. The person that we asked did not want to talk about it. And then the remaining kits we couldn't locate. It was either pulled away in an encampment suite or they're in a location that we just couldn't find. So we brought this up to our directors, and we were able to expand the pilot to pilot number 2. Between February and April 2025, we had 25 kits. And as you can see here, it's kind of spread out more throughout the city. We got most of these sectors, most of these hotspot areas filled. And these numbers associated with each location is the amount of kits in that location. So you kind of see it's a bit more spread out, and we're getting a bit more of the city to hopefully get more waste instead of just that one area. So how it went was we first started with confirming with the contractor that they could expand the program, that they could handle the extra waste pickups. And then we had the supplies delivered to an offsite storage facility that we assembled, and we distributed to our other HEAL team members to distribute the kits within their sectors. And they also provide restocks and regularly checked in with the participants. And I think that's kind of a very important part of this program, is that we're out there, we're speaking with them, we're talking with them face to face, we're shaking hands, we're making them feel like people, and that's kind of the end goal, is everyone wants to feel like a person, they want to feel appreciated, we all have these needs. And so that's kind of what we're trying to be. So approximately 10 bags of waste were picked up by the contractor per week through February and April. And that number is probably a little bit higher. That was mainly just for Sayde's area, and there's quite a few other areas on there. And then, as before with the first pilot, at the 8-week mark, we went back out and we surveyed the participants and asked them how the kit was working for them. So even though we reminded people of kits that were mobile, and that's kind of what I talked about a little bit, they were still tossed out during encampment removals. There's a few really big ones. We don't really know how many kits were tossed out through each encampment removal. So it's kind of like a guessing game. It's trying to find where they are, it's counting them up, it's trying to make sure that they're still in use. We're kind of doing the best we can with that. So this is our storage supply. It might look a little dainty. We had to move all those supplies by hand, and that was a lot.
That was Nate had to do that.
I had to do that. It was 5,000 pounds of kitty litter. So it was a lot of trips. But yeah, so this is where the HEAL team members will go. They'll stock up, they'll build their kits, they'll go back out to the field, they'll speak with the participants, see what they need, see what they've run out, and see what they're going to plan to need in the future. So if you see them, they're running out of kitty litter in 2 days, then maybe we need to step up on that and make sure we're bringing more out there. Unlikely to happen since it's quite a bit of kitty litter. So this is the cost of scaling up. So we started with 25 kits, and we have some extras for the restocks. We planned on having another 25 of the 5-gallon bucket seat lids. We figured most of those kits would be gone between about 3 months into the program. So we have to resupply these people with their kits, especially if they've moved around a bit. We had quite a bit of toilet wipes and kitty litter. We still have quite a bit of it. So we're going to be kind of readjusting this as we go ahead in the future, looking at the supplies that we already have and the supplies that we're going to need, make sure that we're accurately getting the supplies without overstocking too much. And then you can see kind of the total cost down here was 12,000 for all of those. And this is about the pilot 2 was a 6-month pilot. And we're still only about halfway through it. So there's still more development to come. All right. And this is our post-pilot survey. This is the survey we would go out there and we would speak with them. We would ask them and try to compare and get these results. A few of the questions would be something like if they like the kit, if they like the disposal service, did it work well for them? You know, what supplies do they need more of? And then who do they think we should talk to? Who do they think we should spread this around to? Other municipalities, other community-based organizations, and even just their peers, someone that's living right down the street from them. So there's a lot of impact in that. And then this is also, like I said before, it's kind of that human dignity part. It's about being out there, it's speaking with them, getting their feedback, and then continuing to enhance the program with that feedback. So I'll hand it over now to Sayde to finish this out.
Thank you. So some of our post-pilot responses from the users of the kits, some of the barriers was just running out of supplies. One woman at a site had a kit and that was meant to be a personal toilet kit. She had like everyone and their mom coming and using it. And so she was getting a little overwhelmed trying to keep it clean. So she ran out of supplies. We just had to stock her up with a bunch more antibacterial wipes and they didn't use the collapsibility of the bucket. So we changed that just to regular 5-gallon bucket. The kit disposal service worked out. Like our pickup schedule actually reduced. So once a week, it actually became once a week, seemed to work well. We would just come pick up all the bags every Friday and then restock people with supplies. Some people said, you know, they felt a lot safer because they didn't have to go out of their tent at night and find a place to use a restroom. So if they could just use it right there, they didn't have to wander around and potentially get assaulted or, you know. So that was a benefit that I didn't anticipate or didn't think about. General personal hygiene. We also give out feminine hygiene products. I don't think that was added, but general hygiene was improved by all the participants there. Some of the things I'm excited about is potential partners in the community. So it's not just the city staff handing them out. There's other outreach groups in the city and organizations that we're going to partner with that I think will be a great advantage in getting the kits more widely available to folks. So speaking of partnerships, we reached out to one of them is St. Vincent de Paul in Tacoma. They have a big supply area for outreach folks. So we're going to stock some kits there for people who are living in encampments to pick up themselves or for other outreach groups to give to folks who are living outside. And then the Tacoma Rescue Mission has 3 outreach groups also. So we're going to meet with them, I think, in the next 2 weeks to talk about the program and get some kits in their hands as well. And the HEAL team is still on board, so that's good. So our implementation plan, what Shauna was saying, is we got approved, yay. So we're gonna try and do 100 kits a year and see how it goes. We're gonna assemble the kits ourselves. We're gonna get them delivered to that storage place so we don't have to move them. So that will be great. Because there's quite a bit of room, although the building's not in great condition. But we're gonna assemble the kits and then give them to our outreach groups and have them on hand for the HEAL team. And I think just having it available, there's such a wide variety of circumstances where these are useful. We even had a woman living in a tiny home who was chronically homeless, and she got shot actually. And so she couldn't, in the middle of the night, she couldn't use her wheelchair to get out of her tiny home, like travel all the way to the restrooms were clear across the site. So she just put one in her tiny home and used it, and then was able to just have more accessibility there. What else? Our contractor, yep, they're good. We have capacity to keep it going. And our staff time isn't really impacted very much. Once we get the kits assembled, we're just getting them out there for folks to give out to the community. So our last slide, these are quotes from the participants, which really made us see that these are beneficial and that we should push to have the program expanded. One gentleman said that his brother just got out of the hospital and he's better now and he is really enjoying using the kit. A lot of times people in encampments have wounds or they get discharged from the hospital just back to the street. So having, a way to, sanitarily use the restroom and have hand sanitizer and wipes and everything there really helps improve personal health overall. One person said, when we asked, what do you want to share about the program or what's important to share? She said, if you want to allow people a way to clean themselves instead of living gross, this helps a lot. There are no public facilities within 5 miles. It's a public necessity like water fountains. And she was actually living in an encampment with a 1-year-old baby. And so just to be able to have that resource where she didn't have to travel a long way was really helpful for her. And people said that the disposal service worked well. It was really cool because just having regular touch points with folks, we would give them lots of extra purple bags as well. So they actually cleaned up their campsite along with using the toilet kits. So general site cleanliness and improvement was reported. And then the fact that it felt like it was an actual toilet for folks. It had a toilet seat. There was a way to sanitarily dispose of the waste and clean yourself. Just brought the human dignity element and equitable service out there to folks. So that concludes our programming. I was going to end with the poop jokes, and Shauna, I don't think one of the poop jokes aren't my favorite. They're cell number 2. Oh no, do we have time for questions?
Yes, yeah, we've got been over 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, definitely. That's something we considered. One thing we're trying to think about is, like the weather and what season we're in, and if it's raining, things just get wet. And so how can we have a material that's not going to mold or be kind of be a nesting ground for rats even, and have that material be preserved. I hate, obviously, a big plastic container is not ideal, but it does help with the mobility of it, and they have the handle, they can carry it. A lot of times folks have a cart or something that they're moving things around in anyway, so we did consider that, and we're still workshopping it. If we find something that would work way better. I looked at one thing and it was wildly more expensive. So yeah, there might be things out there that we don't know about.
Yeah, I think we were really lucky because our management team was really supportive of it. And one thing that I think always helps, and somebody at the city told me this one time, is just start everything as a pilot because it's short term and it's usually smaller scale and the cost is a lot more affordable at the pilot scale. And so then, if it goes well, and sometimes, you just keep doing it year after that, and it just kind of gets into the budget. So I would say start small like we did, and then go from there. We did, our source control inspectors actually looked into that, and setting something like that up in Tacoma. I think you were in that conversation at that time. And they just, it just didn't really get traction, but we are familiar with the other program, and I do theoretically think that would be a great kind of additional step to take, like you're saying, for a different audience space, different audience segment. but it just, for whatever reason, it didn't really get started. I think it might have had to do a little bit with just kind of setting up the disposal, having it be mobile, and then yeah, just being able to set that up. So, but I definitely think that's something we should still consider bringing back around, given that's a different audience. Yeah.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
Sadie actually coordinates the contract, and like engaging with the contractor on that. Yeah.
No, I mean, theoretically, people are supposed to close them with a zip tie. I've seen them just tie them off or whatever. I think like our contractors contracted to do biohaz stuff anyway, so they're used to it, and it's not like a huge deal. It's kind of within the repertoire of what they're already doing. And people, from my observation, they keep the toilet kit bags separate. They're not throwing other trash in there. Like they're doing a really good job of keeping that separate. So, I mean, there could be an identifier that we could use in the future if there's problems, but it's working well so far, and the bags are really durable, which is helpful. Part of it's, the HEAL team kind of has an interesting role within our city because they perform outreach to folks and facilitate, people accessing shelter resources. And they also have to preside over encampment cleanups. So they're doing like a multifaceted role, and they're looking at it through that lens. So part of it is educating them to look at it through, like almost a stormwater cleanliness lens, which has been a little bit challenging because sometimes it can feel like it's extra work for them. So we have a little bit more work to do. I want to put together a video for them just to show the benefits of the program, so that they will be more fierce advocates in the program, instead of just kind of like, I don't know, here's another toilet kit. Like sometimes, in the encampment removals, I know someone just vacated the site and they didn't take the kit with them. And no one else is gonna want to use it, so they just had to toss it. But I'm hoping, people living unhoused are fiercest advocates, and once the program starts and other people hear about it, they're all gonna talk about it. And they're all gonna want one. And then hopefully it'll just build off of that, so.
All right, thank you, everybody.